Elite Eight duels. Lucas, I say those words. What do you think?
I'm injury bug vaccinated.
That's not what I was hoping you were gonna say.
But no, so
yeah, go ahead.
obviously Elite Eight duels. Can we make the argument it's one of the best years of it? I mean, we'll kind of get into it, but the event as a whole was great. The wrestling was great. The level of college coaches there was fantastic. And we hit the under, ladies and gentlemen, on punches thrown this weekend. We hit the under.
And blood loss. I mean, we were under on that too.
I think that they just super glued Paradise's nose to start the weekend is what I think happened.
Well, you alluded to the thing that we were going to get to, but you did talk about it, and it was a bit of a challenge. It always is a challenge. I want to make sure that we point out that the loss of individuals for one reason or another is not it is tough. It gave some opportunities for a lot of other people to step in. And we're going to talk about those replacements and some of the ones that stepped in and really wrestled exceptionally well. I do wonder, and I sent a tweet out right before the event started, because we saw, like we do every year, you lose a few here, lose a few there. And we lost a few of the ranked wrestlers out of that. And I said, the college coaches they're spending money to come in and watch these kids compete. And then you're on the roster, they have that information, and then you end up not being there. I don't know what kind of message that sends.
I look, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look, it's middle of September. The injury bug is going around. You need to get your injury bug vaccine, and I say that to make a joke, obviously, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't like it. And I feel like if you're a college coach and you hear guys pulling out, obviously guys are going to get injured.
Right.
But
there are legitimate reasons.
When it auspiciously happens, not 72 hours after lineups and matchups get dropped.
Right.
Don't allow me to be cynical, but to be cynical.
All right. So that was a very important one. But for me, that wasn't the takeaway from the weekend. The takeaway from the weekend was the absolute quality of wrestling that occurred, and a tip of the cap to Cliff Fretwell, Shane Chittum, the gang once again, the officials. Like, I mean, it ran smoothly. LA and Travis and Jeremiah, like, everybody was doing their part. We had tons of fun. There were just unbelievable matchups all over the place. And you were on one mat. I'm paying attention to another mat. I missed so many really good matchups, and you did as well.
Yeah, I missed a lot of good ones. And shout out to, like you said, shout out to Holmes as well at the commentary booth. And, he does a good job of getting the logistics down of who's going to go where. Bill and all the tech staff, the volunteers that were there. Elite Eight continues to be the standard for how a tournament should be run. It continues to be the standard. And Cliff and, like you said, the entire crew does a fantastic job year in and year out.
So I don't know. So I think the level of competition is always exceptionally high. But two of the things that really stood out to me was the level of college coaches that were in the room. I mean, you looked around, you had Kevin Ward from Army, you had Kish from Oklahoma, you had Ayers from Stanford, you had Bill Lamb from UNC, you had Javi Maldonado from Little Rock. Purdue was there, Indiana was there, Princeton was there, like so many really good programs.
The best way to explain it is during my quarterfinal, I went to stretch like this and like that. As I did that, I saw Wisconsin, Brown, Purdue, Princeton, Northern Iowa, and somebody else, Little Rock. Oh, and Chattanooga on the other side of the map, and NC State, and then North Carolina.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about NC State. Yeah.
In the span of me going and I saw 8 college coaches just not even looking for him. Just that's Lee Roper. That's this that. Oh my God! Like it's Tervel DeLagnev was in attendance. Like
right, Frank Molinaro was in attendance
for Arizona State. But just the event every year, I think more coaches are starting to realize just how unique of an event this is to get out to.
I agree. All right. And the other thing that stood out to me was, in years past, you might have like a Kong versus Minions, and then like maybe a little bit lower of a tier, the other teams, and they'd be competitive, but weren't like right there, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. This year, Dynasty won the entire event, but they took a loss in the pools. They lost to Thunder, I think, didn't they? Ooh,
no.
Maybe I'm wrong. Did they not lose to Thunder? Did they beat Thunder? It came down to the last match.
Beat Thunder. Yeah, Dynasty beat Thunder 32-29 in the first round.
My fault. Apologies to Coach Diola. You don't have to send me a message to let me know that was not the case. But my point is still valid in that
they got pushed. No, they got
Minions and Roundtree
pushed to the wire.
Minions and Roundtree, 1 point. Powa had 3 forfeits in the finals against Dynasty and took it to the heavyweight match.
That, I think, might be the most underrated storyline of this whole weekend. Powa makes her first finals ever, beating Thunder, who beat Minion. Minion doesn't make the semifinals for the first time ever. We'll get there when we get there. All this goes down. Powa gets their way to the finals. I called the finals correctly. I said Dynasty Powa. But I was thinking it's a Powa that was bolstered by some Southeastern talent who, sadly, due to injury, Gorman and DeGennaro pull out of that duel just due to injury, not wanting to hurt.
Well, I mean, Gorman didn't wrestle all of day 2.
Yeah, I was saying Gorman didn't wrestle at all the second day. He told me, was it his knee or his shoulder?
I think it was his knee.
Yeah, okay, no, and DeGennaro had the ice on the shoulder. That's what's messing with me.
That is right.
Yeah, I was talking to Drew about it. He's like, listen, it's not worth 32. And I said, no, you obviously you rest for Super 32, but all credit to Urenda and the Powa team. Because you want to talk about something for a second, and no one's gonna really want to say this, but I'll do it. They had Dynasty on the ropes. Talk about Alex Sprawn over Terrell Hill, Manville, Barbosa knocks off Voinovich, but then you get Ethan Burden, McCloskey, who puts in work beating a ranked Carson Thomas, Harvey Luddington over Ziola, Anthony Harris over Eugenio Franco. They went back to back to back to back, and it was getting real looking like we might see Powa pull off the upset of Elite Eight's history. But Dynasty does what Dynasty does, and they found a way to win. An incredible duel meet down to the wire. In my opinion, the best finals we've ever seen at Elite Eight, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was
and I got the honor to call it, which made me, I was really appreciative to be in that moment with Holmes for such a fantastic duel.
Well, and you had an opportunity to talk with Coach Diola afterwards.
I did as well, and he's always great to talk to, man. I love Coach Tim. He's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
All right, Fat and Scrappy family, we're here. Elite Eight finished up just a couple minutes ago. Obviously, I'm back with Coach Timothy Ziola with a new set of robes. Dynasty goes back to back. Coach, just talk for a second about the event as a whole. You come in play with a really tough Thunder team. Minions, talk about the draw of the bracket, just the event as a whole. Kind of an overview for us.
As always, I want to thank Cliff and Shane and their team for putting together, in my opinion, the best event of the year. It's literally the only event that gets me excited. Freestyle and folk style, Elite Eight, unbelievable venue, unbelievable location. It's convenient, it's affordable, it's great. I still think the returning champs should get to come for free, but we'll table that for next year.
Table that for
our draw though. we struggled. We were concerned about minions. The Thunder team was unbelievable. Coach Potter put together a heck of a team. It was nip and tuck both duels. We fought it out. We had some young guys. We lost some guys. We backfilled with some quality guys, and we just came and scrapped. Dynasty's a dynasty.
Absolutely. So we talking about scrapping. Pool B, you had Carnage, Powell walked their way. A really super tough team, top to bottom. They get into the finals. You kind of going in, there were some forfeits. They ended up giving 18 points in forfeits. But with all that being said, they keep it a one-match duel, you guys. Just take some time about the final and necessarily, because I heard you at points talking to the coaches and the rest of them, hey, we need this, we need a major, do your job. How was the mindset going into that duel?
Well, the first thing we thought about was potentially bumping everybody up for a double forfeit. We decided we were dealt 20. And we're not going to split 10s. So we decided that we're going to take the points. We knew that our guys were going to step up. We had some concerns. We got some young guys. They fought hard to stay off their backs. And we knew that ultimately our bigger weights were going to have to step up. They did. Wenzel stepped up. Pharrell stepped up. I mean, Franco wrestled his butt off. Kate Tyler wrestled his butt off. So we knew that Murderer's Row was going to get its points. We thought it was going to come down to end. And Coach Arenda, look, I'm in this game because of Coach Arenda. My son Cade wrestled for POWA for a long time. And had he not ever picked us up, we probably wouldn't be here today. So kudos to POWA. They had a hell of a team, as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question I got for you, you're now the second team to go back-to-back. I have to ask this as a media guy, so if I don't get it, he's going to yell at me. Is there kind of a looking ahead to go 3 in a row? Is 100%. That something that, I was going to say, is that something that's in the windshield? Like, are you, obviously you take this and get basking and being two kind of changes now to Elite Eight, but you got to be able to look down the road and say, being the first to win 3 in the Dirty South, that would have to be, that must have a nice ring to it for sure.
That's 100% the priority. Our team's 85% going for the freestyle duels. We've got the usual suspects, the Bassett's, the Forrests, the Iolas, the Mendozas, the Monorenos. We've got our hammers, and they're with us. They're part of this family. I tell them after every time that we win this thing, you're part of the family. Getting in easy, and it's impossible to get out. So we're ready to come back.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you gotta let me say it.
I'll say anything else.
I just want to acknowledge you. I think that you do an unbelievable job commentating. I say it all the time, whether you like it or not. You are the media gets a tough rap. You are so good for our sport, and we need so much more. Thank you so much. Dynasty's a dynasty. Bad one for life. We're out. BDFL.
Thank you. Out.
Yeah. So
Dynasty's the first Elite Eight team to give me a shirt. By the way, they're the first one.
always looking for swag. Always looking for swag.
Always. Are you kidding me? Always looking for gear.
All right. So, the other things there were 2 other things I want to talk about before we talk about some of the others, some maybe top performances and matchups and those sorts of things. And one of those is we lost a few before the tournament began, but in the last hours or whatever before the event began. And you know what? There are a lot of Southeast kids who stepped in and wrestled their butts off. And I can list them. Mason Moody, Javion Redmond stepped in. Ola Kid,
just say all of Scarlet Knights. Just say all of Scarlet Knights, because I'm pretty sure 8 of their kids were last-second fill-ins. I'm pretty sure it was some ungodly number.
So the Camden crew was funny because after day 1, they're walking out and they just look totally banged up. 5 of them, and it just they had taken some lumps over the course of the day. They had wrestled really hard. Tip of the cap to all of them, but especially Conlon Weaver, who he came on to Team Roundtree as a backup to Bambinelli at 70, and Ryder gets hurt at 182 and goes out. And next thing you know, Conlon Weaver steps up and gets 4 ranked guys at 182, and he only weighs 170 pounds.
Catches the number 2, 4, 8, and 15. I would have been fighting Sammy Roundtree. I would have been throwing fists. You're going to tell me, first of all, you're telling me you're going to bump me up to begin with. That's fine. But I'm going to bump up to the best guys in the country. I would fight him.
Yeah, no, that is tough. And you know what? He stepped in and he went to work. And I mean, I mean, he had tough matches. He took losses in those matches, but he went out and competed, and that's really all you can ask for.
I mean, yeah, that's, there is no more you could ask out of someone.
And the other team that had a few Southeast kids that stepped in. Shout out to, especially at the top of the lineup for Minions, man. Gunnar Holland stepped in. Eli Penton stepped in for the Kansas Marshals, but Gunnar Holland stepped in for Minions at 70. You had Jake Stacy step in at 182. And then you had Landon Jones, man. Step in. I think he weighed in at 182, didn't he?
Yeah, weighed in at 182, but that kid is not a 180. He's not a national 182. He's not, like, you could see the size difference between him and the 82s, let alone stepping up to 195. Right. And went, 3-4, 4-3, took a couple wins. Yes. Like, it wasn't as if he was getting murdered. Like, he was running
he actually had some really good wins.
Yeah, he went 4-3, knocked off, beat Gunnar Henry, beat Mason Ellis and Landon Jobber Spence out of Kansas. Like, some really, really good wins for him, too.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And then the last thing before we do something a little unique, I want to talk to you a little bit about probably one of the most interesting topics of conversation from the weekend, and that was the college rules and the first event for a 3-point takedown. 2-point near fall, 3-point near fall, 4-point near fall. What do you think? Because I asked a bunch of people. I want to get your thoughts first, and you and I haven't talked about it.
I kind of think, in the words of the late, great Macho Man Randy Savage, the cream rises to the top. I don't think it's going to change results. Now, here is where things got really interesting. It changes the way you have to look at score lines. And let me explain for those at home what I mean. You're down 4-2. It's now a one takedown match for the lead. It doesn't tie it. You get the lead. And you got to include with riding time. There were a lot of situations where I would see a coach and athlete have to almost have a little mini discussion about, wait, I'm up this much riding time, a takedown. Well, like, you kind of have to do some mental math. And I don't think it's better or worse. I think it's one of those things that with time, it'll get figured out. We'll be fine. And then right when we understand the rules again, they're going to change it again.
That's probably true. But I will say,
at this point, can we just wrestle freestyle? That's where this is going. Like, that's where it's going.
So actually, one of the coaches, I think it was, where was he from? Oh, he's from Pitt. The assistant coach from Pitt and I were having a conversation. And I asked, and he's like, I mean, if we made touchdowns a point or 2 points instead of 7, it's going to increase scoring. Does that necessarily mean that action increases as a result of it? I don't know that that's true. One of the things that he made a good point about was that he likes the fact that the takedowns are worth more than reversals. And
I don't.
So he did. And I asked a lot of the kids who competed, and they were like, so Moses Mendoza, after his match against Seth Mendoza in the finals, I was sitting there asking him, and I was talking to him, and he said, there's things that I like about it, and there are things I don't like about it. If you're dominant, man, you could put it on somebody quick. And that is super fun, and you can just really put up some points. But if you're in there and you're wrestling Bo Bassett or whatever, you might be getting put on you pretty quick.
Road raggy. Like, that's not good. But so this is my thing with that. I want everybody to do a test. And if you see me, let's test this out. Take me down. Now try to reverse me. Here's the thing about that. If you're on top, we have the understanding of 1, not 2. I'm way more likely to let you go than you're starting to reverse me. I'm way more likely. We saw it this weekend. Guys would hit a switch. They kind of get in on it, and they'd let him go. I feel like something's got to get done about reversals because you're going to kill bottom wrestling. Here's the other thing. If a guy got 2 and change minutes of riding time and he can't turn me, What's the point in me wasting the energy to get up for 1 point or two when I know in the third period, just take neutral, I can tie it up? There's no point in bottom wrestling. Now, I am the Grammy master, so I'm still going to Grammy on everybody and their mother. That's not the point. I'm not going to change because I'm too stubborn to. But if I was smart, I would think about changing the way I would think about it.
I think it rewards neutral wrestling a little bit more, and if you're a mat wrestler, it's a little bit more of a disadvantage because of the points.
And yeah, no, it's absolutely it's gonna be one of those things where if it doesn't get looked at now, we're gonna basically have to wait a couple years, and like, it is what it is, you know.
All right, so before we jump to other parts of the show, I want to take a minute and let everybody know that I think it's October 15th, Scrappy and I will be doing a live show at the Cooler in Alpharetta, Georgia. We are talking the best of Georgia, past and present. Enough of a topic to piss off everyone.
Can I announce? Can I announce what I'm doing? Can I announce the list?
Yeah.
And this is going to be some fun. I will be compiling a top 25 teams list in the history of the state of Georgia, with the only criteria being only one entry per team.
So you will only see one. I thought we were going to do 10. Are we going to do 25?
I thought you said 25. So I've been researching for 25. You will only see,
to be determined whether it'll be 10 or 25, but it'll be one of the two.
Needed. But you will only see one Collins Hill, one Camden, one Woodland. It's gonna be only one.
Yeah,
team.
Otherwise it's not gonna be number 1 Jefferson, number 2 Jefferson, number 3 Jefferson for different years.
Or more likely, number 1 Collins Hill, 2 Collins Hill, 3 Collins Hill, 4 Jefferson, 5 Camden. More likely.
So biased.
Team with 2 D1 All-Americans and 5 D1 wrestlers on it, and you're telling me that's not
the criteria is not what they did after they left.
1 Super 32, 3 of them won Iron Man. What are we talking? Put a pin in it. We'll get to it.
The criteria is what they did as a team in the state at that moment, not into the future.
They took Blair Academy to a 1-point dual meet, got third at Ironman as a team, had 3 guys get top 4 at Super 32, have 1 win a title, and you're gonna look me. Put a pin in it. We'll get there.
And you know what? This is why you should buy a ticket. It's only $25, and there's lunch involved. So it's like going to lunch and then listening to the two of us talk. You're not paying for us. You're totally.
And we're gonna drink. We're gonna drink. So we're gonna drink.
I'm not.
I'll a little. I'll get loose. I'll get loose so I say something wild that becomes a soundbite.
You don't need to get loose. You're already loose. Man, you're so loose. I'm not even gonna go down that path. All right. But October 15th, I'll put a link on the maybe in the description below. And it'll be on SE Wrestle. Make sure you guys check it out. It actually is going to be a ton of fun. We're going to talk a lot about the history of wrestling, some history, and then we're going to debate some things about the current year as well. So it's not just going to be the old time talking about past teams. It's going to be right here, right now,
past and present.
That's right. All right. And one of the things that we're going to cut to right now is May Prado and Vera Spencer have been doing some really fun interviews at Cars, and May was at Elite 8 Duels, and she caught up with a couple of the wrestlers from the event. Check this out.
Who am I here with?
Dominic Beminelli.
What weight do you wrestle?
170.
What high school do you go to?
Mill Creek High School.
And where is that?
Hoshin, Georgia.
What's your biggest wrestling accomplishment?
Placing at Super 32 High School.
Well, what place did you get?
6th. Not a great place.
What?
Not a great place.
Oh.
Because I lost my placement match.
Why?
To a Georgia kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Anyways, What's your favorite post-tournament meal?
Fruity Pebbles.
Milk or no milk?
Milk, but you have to be watching SpongeBob.
Who's your favorite SpongeBob character?
Squidward. 100%.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Anyways, what song do you listen to before your match?
I'm an old rock kind of guy. Interstate Love Song. It's probably my favorite song.
Nice. Do you play Fortnite?
It's been a minute, probably like a year.
Oh, so what's your favorite Fortnite dance?
Can I show you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was great, Dom. Thank you. Last question.
Yep.
Will you gritty with me?
Sure.
Lucas, can you gritty?
Not well. I mean, if you go to the bomb Matt, or I should probably, but if you go watch the video, I'll let you guys be the decider on that one.
Oh yeah, because she talked to you as well.
Yeah, I can't dance just for ahead of time. I almost didn't do it, but I knew that if I did it, I was gonna get ate alive for not doing it. So I was like, all right, I got to do it. It's gonna be horrible, but it's fine.
So much fun. It one of the things that I think that they've got really going well for it is it's fun that they're just kind of interacting with one another, and it's a other side of the sport, which, what I think, I couldn't pull that off. Like, I couldn't have those conversations with the athletes. They look at me in a different way, I think, than they do with May and everything else. So May and Vera. So anyway, check those out. I'll try to post the Instagram down below as well. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully in the future, if May and Vera are interested, if we happen to be at the same events, maybe we can get them to do some more of those types of things.
Oh, absolutely. I think it'd be good to get them more involved and doing more stuff with them, because they for sure, they obviously enjoy doing it, and like you said, the kids obviously enjoy it, and I think it's just a good thing to do for sure.
Agreed. All right, so let's jump. So just so you guys know, we're going to talk about not top five. We're going to talk about 5 matchups that we saw that kind of stood out, super interesting to watch. You get a chance. I might have the YouTube videos. I don't have them for all of them posted. Definitely go back to Flow Wrestling to find some of them. Then we're going to talk about 5 performances from people in the Southeast. And I want to make sure I put a little asterisk at the top about the top 5 performances. This isn't somebody who was unbeaten or undefeated or anything like that. This might be individuals who stepped in or had really good wins, all those sorts of things. So those are kind of the things we're going to do. And then we're going to end with a quick preview of Tennessee's Who's Number One, which is this coming weekend. The girls, I think, are in Nashville area, and the boys are over in Chattanooga. Yeah. All right. So,
which that's an odd thing in of itself, that it's 2 separate events the same day.
Yeah, that
did
not pan out the way that it probably should have. We should be highlighting wrestling in one location of all the best kids. So,
agreed.
All right. What was a match that you were calling? Because I know there were a lot of matches you actually didn't get to see. What was a match that was on one that you were calling that really stood out to you?
If I gotta go, so the first duel I had was Powa and the Kansas Marshals, and in that we got to see 2 actually. Drew Gorman versus Noah Ninninger, that finished 2-0 in Drew Gorman's favor. And for a 2-0 match, go watch that match. I promise you, if you take time to watch that match, you will be highly impressed by the level of wrestling on both them. Lots of good scrams that just end up in either stalemates or nothings. And then up at 170, another one in the same duel, Elijah Penn and Connor McCloskey, both guys that filled in spots. In McCloskey's case, not necessarily last minute, but filled in a slot that they not necessarily would have had. And they got down to business, him and Penn, and they had a great match that Penn would end up winning 11-6.
Yeah. Was there anything that stood out in either one of those that you kind of walked away from going, And the reason I asked the question is, for me, Gorman at 32 versus Gorman at 38 or higher, he looks like a different beast.
I can believe it. Just seems as if he may not necessarily want to always cut the weight, but he looks good when he's down. He looks good.
He does. And he looks the right size. Like when he was wrestling up, he looked smaller. I mean, and we saw some of that this weekend with people filling in at different weights, and you could totally tell who was the significantly larger wrestler. And Gorman at 32, to me, seems like that's the right weight for him at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So you didn't get a chance to see it, and I didn't get a chance to see it. And that's a real shame, because a absolute barn burner, I think, early on day 2 was Jake Craps.
It's the one I'm thinking of.
Sebastian De Janeiro, 17-16. De Janeiro takes the win after.
So we're 8-3, about to have, looks like 4 more. Been a somewhat brutal period for Craps here, who came into it winning.
Man, tilting Craps a ton in the second period, built a lead, and that's where, I'll tell you what, he had so much of a lead that with a 2-point takedown, there was no way in the world Jake Craps was going to be able to come back in the third period.
No.
But with a 3-point takedown, he almost pulled it off.
12 for the power wrestler. Another quick single for Craps, in on the leg. He needs to finish quickly, though, with the time that's left. Throwing the leg in from the far side. He's going to capture another 3 points. So 17-5. You got to be careful when you're pulling that leg out. He's going to let him up again, right back in. Probably the most exciting match I've seen this weekend. 17-5, down by 2 points, 8 seconds left. Craps coming hard after him. Stalling red, in on a single. Can he score? Oh. That was a fantastic match. Craps coming up just short, losing 17-16.
That second nearly did. But, it's weird, man. De Janeiro, he sometimes just finds a way. I remember the folks at Elite 8 last year. I watched him in a handful of matches, and he was doing his thing. And then Super 32 gets a chance to wrestle Cooper Hilton and knocked him off. And he comes back to Elite 8, wrestling for Power. And he looked really good up until not wrestling due to the shoulder we were talking about earlier. But when he was wrestling, he looked incredible.
Well, and I'll tell you what, he wrestled a kid who I didn't really know anything about, Aaron Cement from Pennsylvania. And that kid I was super impressed with. He wrestled
for sure.
He wrestled tough all weekend long.
Cement was barring people up all weekend.
And I understand why Sebastian's shoulder hurts.
I wonder if that's what it was, because there was a point where De Janeiro's arm was all the way up, and I was like, De Janeiro's a tougher man than me. Tougher than me.
Well, you would probably you'd have to break off one of my small limbs because mine doesn't bend that way.
Yeah, for sure.
A couple ranked matchups that were highlighted, especially with Southeast wrestlers. And I did get a full match of this one. Ryan Burton, who I think was number 7, Dominic Bambinelli, who was number 10. Man, back and forth. I mean, it was 1-1 in a match that both guys could have scored multiple times. They didn't. And then in sudden victory, gets the takedown for the win. It was again a low-scoring match, but tons of action. It was a fantastic match to watch. You didn't get to see it though, did you?
No, I didn't. I heard good things about it thow. No, I didn't. No, I was on another match.
It was fantastic. And then the last matchup that I think that, and there were a lot. And we say this every single week. We can't talk about everybody. We can't talk about every match. We'd be here all day long. We're already here way too long as it is.
And I got class in a half hour, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Lucas, he's got to get to class. So
right? Yes, I actually do.
Yes, you do.
I actually do.
The last matchup was probably the highest ranked matchup with no Monoretto
2 versus 3 it was.
Kenny. And that was Cooper Hilton versus Bo Bassett. I'll tell you what, the opening 2 minute and a half or so was just like firepower. I mean, it was just, they were going back and forth. It was on fire. They were wrestling it super well, back and forth. But I'll tell you what, Bo Bassett, if he wasn't the most impressive person in the building over the weekend, he was certainly amongst the top. And
I think he's one of them.
He finally put it on Cooper and extended the lead. And the scoreline did not look as close as it was at the beginning. And then he really took care of the rest of the match. And I would say, and this is in the Southeast Kid, and we're going to get to the performances now, but I'll tell you what, man, Dominic Monoretto was unbelievably good.
He has got one of the most unique styles in all of wrestling, and me and him had a long conversation because I was trying to figure it out. Man, he's so good.
He is. And in an event where you're wrestling basically 6-person, 7-person round robin against the best guys
of the best guys in the country,
and you're dominating. I mean, that's just crazy. All right. Let's jump to the top 5 performances. These are not, and it's not really the top 5 performances. These are performances that stood out to us, and they're only Southeast kids that we thought deserved like a tip of the cap, and really wrestled hard, wrestled well, and had some really solid wins. Who do you got first?
For me, I'm gonna go with Sebastian De Janeiro. I mean, until his injury, the wins he had. I mean, if you weren't there watching, you may not know because of the fact that he didn't finish the weekend. But if you take away his match with Cement, wins over Craps, Hockaday, Boskin, Bedford, who is Chris Bedford at Oakland Black Ops is severely underrated. And then beats Cannon Ackland in a 5-3 barn burner. To me, Jensen Beach's own stand-up kid, he is a superstar in the making.
I agree.
He needs to get a little bit bigger. He needs to get a little bit bigger for college. So I think he'd be better. He's going to end up being better off as a 33 than a 25.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with Jojo Urachuk, who looked fantastic at 113. I still don't know how in the world he makes 113 pounds. He wrestled super well, had some solid wins. The only match that he pretty much took it and got handled pretty handily is against Monoretto. Otherwise,
which, I mean,
he was 6-1 on the weekend.
Yeah. Pretty sure everybody got handled by Monaretto. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? I can look it up. I bet you he actually kept it closest to Monaretto than anyone. And I don't know that's not really a moral victory, but yeah, no, actually he got pinned. That's right. So maybe that's not true. Monaretto freaking dominated everyone. So all right.
Yeah, major fall, tech fall, tech fall major. Jesus.
Who do you have next?
I'm gonna go with Gunnar Holland, who steps up for Minions.
Very last minute.
The 11th and a half hour, and comes in and wrestled his tail off, and up at wait, was he? Why am I losing my mind?
170.
170. Thank you. Weighed in, about average for 70. He ends up finishing the weekend 5-2. I wanted to be sure. He ends up 5-2. Losses coming to Bambinelli and Burton, who are both killers. Gets a win over
both ranked top 10.
Yep. Gets a win over fellow Floridian Elijah Penn, beats Carson Thomas. Holland for sure had himself a weekend.
I agree. And that's got to be tough. Like getting called last minute, stepping in, and you know what? Without Holland, Jake Stacy, and Landon Jones at the top of Minions, that would have been really hard for Minions to even be. I mean, they were leading Dynasty heading into like one of the 220 or 285. So
yeah,
220 maybe, not 285. But they kept it close. They wrestled tough. All three of them wrestled exceptionally well. My next one is Deshaun Poe of Stronghold. Alabama kids came over, wrestled hard, tough matches, several of them, just like everybody else, took a few losses and that sort of thing. And Poe had a few losses, but Poe also pinned number 11, Gabriel Busseau. How do you say it?
I was saying it Basayu the entire weekend, so I don't know.
Basayu pinned him. And then beat, I think Rutgers commit Ryan Ford 7-6. Poe wrestled super tough. I trying to remember who he had losses to. He let's see here.
But wait.
Oh, he lost to Pearson Manville, and he lost 5-0 to Bo Hickman. He had a win, 8-5 win over Jack Estevez as well in sudden victory. Poe wrestled really, really well, as did Sturgill, as did Max Norman. Again, I could go on and on with a bunch of different kids.
Yeah,
Do you have one last one from the Southeast that you want to throw out?
Yo, I know Landon Jones basically goes up 2 weight classes. Shout out Harrison. Goes up 2 weight classes and fights his tail off. I gotta give him a special nod. I have to shout out to him.
And I think we said it earlier, went 4-3, right?
Yep, 4-3. Yep, and had a winning record.
Yeah. All right. So that is the Elite Eight. I'll post a bunch of pictures that Amber Cloy. By the way, shout out to Amber, best photographer in the business. She is fantastic. She came down. She took so many pictures. I will post the link to her account or to her galleries once they're done. I took videos. We'll get those posted. And I'll tell you what, you and the rest of the commentating crew, shout out to Rocky Kaufman and the rest of the crew.
Phil,
yeah, stepping in and you know what, watching wrestling without a commentator, it's just so much better. So much better.
It's tough sometimes. It's tough sometimes without a commentator, but it's an honor to get to do it at an event like Elite Eight and to do it with a lot of people I know around me. It makes it a whole bunch of fun, and the wrestling is super great. So, for me, there's not a negative in there.
All right. So let's jump to this weekend. We have the girls, who's number 1 in the state of Tennessee. And Lucas is going to and before I actually say this, because we've done the preseason rankings, team rankings for every state except for 2, Next week, Lucas is going to take his shot at Tennessee, and I'm going to take a shot at North Carolina. And that will be the end of the preseason rankings as far as team goes. And then we'll focus in the future on what we're going to do in the future. But that's our focus coming up. But Lucas,
and to my Tennessee people,
uh-huh,
show me some mercy. Okay, I'm Tennessee. I'm learning. That's all I ask. I'm learning. That's all I'm gonna say. I know it's not gonna matter. I know I'm still gonna get creamed, but I'm gonna say something that is wild, and I'm gonna get murdered for it. Thanks. South Carolina, love you too. By the way, thanks.
Hey,
I love
you
you
know
guys.
What?
But...
You only heard it in one classification. The rest of the classifications were all like, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So now, so with this, who's number one? I am going to be picking matches. I am going to say,
which is crazy.
I'm going to give it a run. I am familiar with most of the individuals, especially on the boys' side. The girls' side, there is a little bit more of some from me, but we are going to give it the good old college try.
All right. So on the girls' side, we'll start there. We are wrestling at Brentwood Academy on this coming Saturday. We started at 100 pounds with Riley Sturgill, Grace Von Lowe, I believe. Sturgill has been around for a little bit, but I think she's new as far as I think she's an incoming freshman. Von Lowe has actually wrestled before in high school. Who do you got in that opening round or opening match?
So this match is tough. This match is tough for me for that exact reason, but I gotta go Riley Sturgill on that one. I've seen her too much, and I've seen her have too many really good performances now. I gotta go with Sturgill. 1-0 to the red side.
1-0 to the red side. All right. So we go to 107 pounds, where we have Jenna Baines from Greenville, who I think was third a year ago, for the red side. Sorry. And Cheyenne Makaleski, is that how you say it? I've seen her wrestle.
So I've seen both of them wrestle, and I believe it's Makaleski. I believe. I could be very wrong. She is from
Northwest. She was fourth last year. So we have two state placers, one up at 107, Baines, one that was down at 100. Who do you got in match number 2?
So this match at 107, two state placers. This one's really tough for me. I'm gonna go Baines. I'm gonna go Baines here. I think Jenna Baines gets it done, but that match is gonna be super duper close.
All right, moving to 114, we have state placer from Cleveland, Senna Grassman for the red squad, and Melanie Val, state placer for St. Andrews Swanee for the blue squad. I think you got Brett up 2-0 right now, right?
Yes, and this is where blue strikes back. I think Melanie Val takes care of this one. So this is one where I'm to the people on the red side here. I have never watched Grassman wrestle. This is one where I'm going to be completely upfront about my unfamiliarity. But I have watched Melanie Val.
You haven't seen her? You didn't see her in Fargo?
No, I don't think I caught any of her matches. I think in the process of running around. And you know what's funny? I bet I watched one of her matches, but just didn't put name to a face. So, but I know I've watched Melanie Val wrestle, and she's a hammer. So shout out Mel Val. I'm going to rock with her on this one. Blue pulls 2-1 now.
All right. So at 120 pounds, we have state runner-up Natalie Shane. She was state runner-up at 114. And state champion at 120 pounds, Mariana Bowen from Rossview.
So super tough one for me. Man, I like Natalie Shane. I think she's a stud. Like you said, state champion last season. Probably gonna be back to defend her title at 120. Give me Natalie Shane here. Red goes up 3-1 after 4.
Moving down to 126, we got Shay Ring, who was a state qualifier, I think, for Blackman last year. Jasonia Bearfield was your state runner-up, I believe, to Melanie Val. I could be wrong, but I believe to Melanie Val, 120 pounds.
Yeah.
So you got state state qualifier versus state runner-up in Bearfield. Who you going at 126?
126. This is another one that I think the match could go either way. Give me Bearfield here. And honestly, so I've seen both of them wrestle very little. This is one of those where I kind of have a gut feeling, and if it ends up wrong, I'm gonna get murdered for it. But I'm gut feeling here. I'm gonna go Bearfield.
You know, one thing I don't know, and we probably should have found this out before we started doing this, would be, are they wrestling freestyle or are they wrestling folk style?
I'm gonna think freestyle because they're going red and blue.
Okay.
That would make me think. That would make me think freestyle.
I don't know. I'm really interested. I didn't ask, and I think
it would change some of my picks too.
132, Haley Cox, state placer. 132, Gabby Newton for blue, also a state placer. 2 state placers battling it out at 132 pounds. Who you got?
I think Haley Cox is super underrated. She's a girl I don't think that gets enough love. I think that she is a hammer. I'm going to roll with Haley Cox here. I think red goes up 4-2 as we head into 138.
I think he might be a little red biased.
I'm calling it like I see it.
All right. So at 138 pounds, I think we got Trinity Roberts from Heritage, who is a state placer. Stella Wilson is in at 138 pounds. I don't believe she was a state placer a year ago. So who do you got at 138?
It's going to be the red side here. They'll go up 5-2. I think Trinity Roberts was someone that she was at Backyard Brawl, I do believe, and I watched her, and an absolute dog. Or I think, she was there. She wrestled with Mayhem and is a dog, and I'm picking Trinity Roberts. It's going to take a lot for me to not pick Trinity Roberts in matches. Like, she's a hammer.
All right. 145 pounds, Gianna Nicola. I'm not 100% sure. I think she might wrestle for Rossview, taking on state placer Brooklyn. I think it's Whiteside, not Whitside, but I could be wrong, Brooklyn. Apologies. I know at state last year, it was listed as Whiteside, but here it is listed as Whitside. So who do you got at 145?
This one, I think, is a real good matchup. I've got to see both of them wrestle. Nikolai, is that how you see that? At the end is.
I think so. Nikolai?
Gianna is really tough, and especially when she gets her offense going super early. But I think Whiteside will have enough to stave her off. Give me Whiteside to move it to a 5-3 scoreline as we head into 152 pounds.
All right. And at 152 pounds, you've got Julia Jerka versus Cricket Jones. Both were state qualifiers a year ago. Both are on this list. Who do you got taken at 152?
So this is one that I'm not as familiar with either one of them. I'm going to go with Julia Jerka because when I've looked up some of in the run to this, looking up results and just trying to I just think, give me Julia Jerka here. I think red moves to 6-3.
All right. 165 pounds for me might be the best matchup of the turn or of the who's number one. Ireland Lauren, I didn't know anything about until we saw her compete at Fargo at 16U. Wrestled super well. Ended up, I think, third there, right? Wasn't she third?
Third. Up a weight class. Third up a weight class at Fargo is nuts.
She gets 165 pound state runner-up, Aaliyah Whaley, who, she only lost in the state finals to Piper Fowler.
I mean, yeah.
So this should be a really good match between two solid individuals.
Two of Tennessee's best in this one. Ireland Lauren, a Fargo All-American. This one, I've kind of went back and forth on. I just think I'm going to go with Lauren. I think the match is going to be super close. If it's folk style, don't be surprised if it goes to overtime. And if it's freestyle, don't be surprised it ends in criteria. I think both of them are dogs though, and both of them are absolutely on that path to being one of Tennessee's best and being superstars on the girls' scene for sure.
Where do we stand on the team race?
It is 7-3 red.
Okay, so it's out of it's beyond what Shania Weisinger or Ava Johnson could do on the blue squad anyway. But let's go down to 235. We've got Emma Young, who was a state placer at 235 last year for Alcoa. Shania Weisinger, who was a state champion at this weight for Clarksville. I would think you'd lean towards returning state champion.
I agree. I think the Clarksville girl, I think she gets it done. Shania Weisinger, I think she's I wish I'd gotten her on on my team for Backyard Brawl. I think she was one of the girls I reached out to very last minute, just ended up not working out. Hope to get her on a roster of mine at some point. Yeah, I'm gonna go Shania Weisinger here for sure.
And then we have two, I think they're both rising freshmen this year. I know Lexi Dean is. I think they're both really talented. I just don't know very much about either one of them. I've not really seen either one of them compete. They are maybe if they go by weight class, that'll be the last match of the.
And that's why I don't really have a pick there. If you, I mean, I've seen Ava Johnson wrestle a handful of times just at different events.
Okay,
but just I think she was at Backyard Brawl, but at the individual side, like I don't know as much. So, but in the end, I have it 7-4 red through the actual dual meet. 7-4 red.
And shout out to the crew that is pulling together a Who's Number One event in the state of Tennessee for the girls. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, I completely agree. I think this is. I'm gonna shut my mouth and we're gonna leave that here, but something that needs to be done more often for sure.
Yeah, and something that needs to be done in other states. And I know that's where you were going to go with that, but that's it. Yes, it should be done in lots of places. And now
don't get me down the rabbit hole.
Now we transition to the boys in the state of Tennessee, which also should occur in many other states as well. And I mean, why wouldn't you? The prelim matches have two, I think, middle school matches. We're not going to talk about them. I don't know the middle school wrestlers very well. But the main card, man, the main card should be fantastic.
There's a couple really, really good ones on the main card.
All right, so let's jump in. This is at Cleveland High School in on Saturday. Once again, it's a little frustrating that it takes place at the same date and time. You can't go to both the girls and the boys. But wherever you go in the state of Tennessee, you should, wherever you are in the state of Tennessee, you should be close enough to at least hit one of these, right?
Yeah, for
one
sure.
Is in the center of the state, one's over towards or over in Cleveland, over by Chattanooga and such. So at 106 pounds, Jose Cordero versus rising McCallie freshman Jackson Lane. I don't know, man. Who you got?
This one's tough for me because they're both super talented. I want to know what leg they're cutting off Jackson Lane to make 106. He a big old 106. He's gonna be a big old 106 pounder, and Cordero's gonna be a little 106 pounder. So super interesting matchup. I'm gonna go Jackson Lane, but man, it's gonna be a good match.
All right, 113 pounds, Axel Ritchie versus Tanner Tran. Again, another really, really good match. This might be a rematch. Is this a rematch from state finals?
While you figure that out.
While I look that up, why don't you tell me
so
what your
both these dudes are absolute studs. We've got to see them both wrestle at Elite 8, Fargo 32. They both go to these types of events. So Richie looked good at Super 30 or Super 32 at Elite 8 this weekend. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking he's gonna come off of Elite 8, and I feel like he's only gonna continue that. Beat Eli Hadaway, beat Kean Simon, beat a tough Caden Carell. Give me Axel Ritchie in this one.
And just so everybody knows, actually, neither one of them won state. It was Ollie Phillips who took the 106-pound title last year in D2. Ritchie was third, Tran was second. So There you go. 120, we already mentioned earlier in this episode, Jojo Urachuk and his only loss coming to Dom Monaretto. But he pulls a really talented, very good Mason Jacob.
Yeah, if Mason Jacob was wrestling any other kid 26 and below, I'm probably picking him. It's tough for me to pick against Jojo Urachuk, man. I'm going to go with Jojo Urachuk, but that match is going to be a lot better than some people think.
126 pounds, Ethan Urachuk, who also wrestled at Elite 8 this past weekend. Maybe he didn't have the same success as Jojo did, but wrestled super tough at 126 pounds. Man, ran in 126 was a tough weight with Jax Forrest and a lot of other individuals. He draws Joseph Calvin, who I believe is from Father Ryan, state placer from Father Ryan. So who you got between Urachuk and Calvin?
I'm going to go Ethan Urachuk here. I really like this Joseph Calvin kid. And I think if you don't know who he is, I feel like this match is going to give you a real good chance to get a look at him. But I'm going to rock with Ethan Urachuk here.
And I was wrong. Not a state placer. My fault. Don't throw me some hate mail. He's actually state champion last year at 120 pounds. So I think he was a state placer the year before last year. So
give that man his due.
That's right. I totally robbed that. I apologize. Let's jump to another one of the, maybe one of the best matches on the card. 132 pounds, Jarvis Little, Summit versus Case and Rourke from Father Ryan. Both wrestled this past weekend. It's funny is I think that Oklahoma Black Ops, who Jarvis wrestled for, I think they saved Jarvis because I think he got 3 matches this weekend, and at 132 pounds, but he got the 3 best kids at 132 pounds. He got Gorman, Nininger, and Bassett.
And by the way, took Bassett down twice. So I was commentating that match. Took him down twice, and then Bo went, "Oh wait, we're wrestling now," and put up 28 points in the first period. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, that was but you know what? Jarvis Little definitely came to wrestle. Probably would have finished with several wins if he had the full slate of matches that weekend.
Agreed.
But he got paired up with the 3 probably best kids other than him at the weight. Case and Rourke also wrestled this weekend and wrestled super well. I think he went 3-4. Is that right? Do you know?
Yeah, 3-4. His losses came to Bassett, Hilton, Navita, and Swenson.
Which, again, not too shabby. I mean, you lose to Bassett, you lose to Cooper Hilton. Navita, you only lost a 1-0 match. Had a win over Aiden Bostic, who I believe is ranked. So, Yeah. Who you got at 132 pounds?
This one's really tough for me, but I'm going to go with Jarvis Little, Summit, Tennessee zone. I like that kid a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential, as is Case and Rourke, but
right.
I'm gonna go with Jarvis Little.
145 pounds. We have Baylor's Nate Askew, Summit's Landon DeSalle. A couple things that are pretty interesting about these 2 individuals. I think Askew was slated to wrestle this past weekend in Elite 8. He was present, but he didn't actually wrestle this weekend. DeSalle has been on the shelf a little bit because kind of rehabbing injury and that sort of thing. So we definitely have seen Askew wrestle this summer up in Fargo and so on and so forth. Tough to pull a match for DeSalle in who's number 1 when it's the first time back, in several months of competing.
Yeah. And you run up against a super tough, super Nate, and I've known Nate Askew since he was a 7-8-year-old kid. What? I've picked against Landon DeSalle before, and he's made me look stupid when doing it. And I'm going to give Nate the chance to make me look stupid. I'm going to pick Landon DeSalle. I think they're both hammers, but Fool me once, shame on me. I think if Pittman's landed to sell 2-3 times now. I'm not giving him a fourth.
All right. So
speaking of multiple times, never again. Parker Farrell, I'm billing you for my phone. I'm sending you an invoice. I had my phone on the table, ladies and gentlemen. Parker Farrell decided to make it a TLC match a la Survivor Series and try to put his Poway heavyweight opponent through the table, knocks my phone off the table and breaks it.
All right, 152 pounds. We have state placer from Summit, Braden Leach, state champion, and I believe it's Chancery Dean, not Chancey Dean. At least it shows on the thing as Chancey Dean, but I'm pretty sure it's Chancery Dean. Father Ryan, state champ, state placer. Should be another fantastic match, man.
I agree. And this one's tough for me because I'm actually not familiar with either one of them outside of state champ and state placer. I'm going to rock with Braden Leach.
Okay.
Yeah. But that one could go any direction, and I don't know. So that's one more. Hey, Tennessee people, I don't know.
All right, we're going to skip 160. We're going to talk about it last. Jump to 215 with Lucas Zimborski, Ryder Smith. Zimborski from Cleveland. I think Ryder Smith is a state placer from Chattanooga Christian. Pretty interesting. I don't know that we've seen a whole lot from either one of these individuals recently. I know Zimborski, I think he plays football. And I think last year, and I'm going to look this up real quick. I'm pretty sure last year he was like at 170 pound state champion. So
Jesus.
Now up at 215. And Ryder Smith was a state runner-up at 195. So, who you got?
I'm going to rock with Lucas Zimborski, especially out of Cleveland. I just feel like, assuming football is a thing here for both of them, I'm going to go with the guy who's being coached up by the Cleveland crew there.
All right. And 160, which could be your main event. I don't know how they're going to do it, if they're going to do it by weights or however. Logan Fowler has had one heck of a spring, has wrestled super, super well, and obviously has Tennessee titles to his name. You've got Max Norman, who also has Tennessee titles to his name. Now at Baylor, we just saw Max wrestle the number 3 kid in the country, Ethan Burden from Poway, 3-2 in a fantastic match. He wrestled super well this weekend. He took some losses, but he also took some wins and against some really good competition. Those two individuals make for a really, really good match.
Agreed. And this one I mulled over. I've known both of them a while now. It's tough for me to pick against Max Norman, and I don't think I can. Even the way he wrestled Burden, I thought he was going to knock him off.
He should have, probably.
I got to commentate that match, and I thought he wrestled the better match. Burden, hats off to him, just found a way to win. Give me Maximus Norman.
All right. And that is Tennessee's Who's Number One for the boys in Cleveland, Tennessee. I'll tell you what, Lucas, I'm a little tired. Elite 8, man. It was a fantastic weekend. We had a ton going on this coming weekend with Tennessee's Who's Number One. You think we could take a couple weeks and kind of catch our breath before we gear up for the event at the Cooler and Super 32?
Oh, I never take a break. Come on now. You know that.
Well,
we ride this until the wheels fall off.
Well, the wheels are about to fall off. I'm tired. All right. And as we end this, we're going to go out with one last Matside report from May, as she had a fantastic conversation with special guest. All right.
Who am I here with?
Lucas De Silva,
What weight do you wrestle?
184.
What college do you go to?
Manual University. Go Lions.
So where is that college?
Franklin Springs, Georgia, basically border South Carolina, kind of.
Nice. So what is your favorite post-tournament meal?
I'll go chicken cutlets. Gotta go on my mom's food, for sure.
Nice. What's your favorite song to listen to before you match?
Oh, that's a good one. 24 by Lil Baby and Money Man.
Nice. What's your favorite Fortnite dance?
What?
What's your favorite Fortnite dance?
I don't play Fortnite, so I really don't know.
Can you gritty with me?
Ah, hell, I figure if Donovan could do it, hell, why not?